It all started when I was little. A parent of mine had a court case, so that parent always went to malams and stuff. The friends of that parent always introduced that parent to malams, and then they gave that parent like things for us, the children, to eat and then to bath with for protection. And then aside that, I was in a Christian school as well, and it's like every Wednesday in that Christian school, we had like worship and stuff like that, and so I got to know God on my own. And my parents, that parent of mine was is a Muslim, but I am a Christian by choice. So then I grew up, I started life, girls, when you're growing up, you make friends and you want to see life and stuff like that. So I had friends, some friends, and we like went out and stuff like that. And then fast forward, I met a friend when I was 19, and we became very, very, very close. This friend of mine, she she was like trying to become famous and stuff like that, but it wasn't working and it was a long way. And then she always had like auditions and stuff like that. But then we always ate together. I always gave her my clothes. That was how close we were. Sometimes she comes to my house, and when she's not wearing an outfit that I think it's nice for our night out, I gave her my clothes to wear. So that was how close this friend of mine and I were. So then one day she came to me, and then she was like, hey, you see, this girl in town bought a car, and she heard this girl went to like juju or something to make the man buy her a car. So she would try and get close to that girl, and then get the spiritual person's address, and then we can go. And I was like, me, I don't believe in those things. So, and then she was like, yeah, we should just try and see. So then she tried to get close to that person, but it wasn't really working. The person wasn't really telling her who the spiritual man was. So then we took it to ourselves to look for like a place to go, like a spiritual person's place to go and seek help. Actually, we were going for lucky. Even thinking about it now makes me laugh. We were going for lucky, and also to make the men give us money, and also buy us a car and like houses and stuff like that. So I was there one day, and she called me, and she was like, she's spoken to one Sakawa friend of hers, so we should go and see that Sakawa guy, like a fraud guy. He goes to Benin and stuff like that, so we can go and speak to him and beg him, and then he can take us. So then we met with this guy, and then we told the guy what exactly we wanted to do. And the guy looked at me, and he was like, he doesn't think the journey we can make it. And I was like, why? He was like, because the journey is really far, and they always have to sit in a bus. And sometimes the spiritual man would tell them to buy like dried chameleon and stuff like that, or a live chameleon, and those animals are very dangerous, and they have to hold it in the bus and then go to the spiritual man's place and do all kinds of things. So him looking at us, he doesn't think we can go. So then we we ended up like not talking to him again, and then my friend went to look for another person, and then this other fraud guy also, we met with him at a Shell station, I think Total station at I don't know where that place is really called, but I think it's around that Nima place. And then we sat in his car, and I explained everything, and my friend also explained. And that day I had some money on me. I had some euros on me. So when I was going, I took it with me, and then I gave it to the guy to keep it, because he told us how much we really needed for the journey that he also wants to take us to. He wants to take us to a Benin journey, and the journey is so far, and we needed like a huge sum of money. And I had a little money on me, so I gave it to him that time, and I was like, he should hold it. He should hold it for me. When I get more money, I'll come and give it to him so he piles it up, because if it's with me, I'll spend it. So then I gave him the money, and then I think after a few weeks, this guy called me and he was like, he can't go with us for the journey again. And I was like, why? He's like, he just can't go with us. He doesn't think we can really do it, because it involves a lot of things. So then he said to meet him up, and then he gave me my money back. And then now my friend and I were like really trying to look for a spiritual place to go. So then we were like, okay, let's look for a taxi driver and ask a taxi driver. Maybe the taxi driver will show us where a spiritual place is and we can go. So she met a taxi driver, and then she was like, the taxi driver said there's a spiritual place with a signboard on the, I think, Wager Road or something. So early morning, we woke up, and then she came to pick me up from my house. We sat in the taxi, and then we drove. We drove all the way to Wager, and then we saw the signboard, and then we went to the spiritual man's place. So we went to the spiritual man's place. It's like a line. People sit there and wait, and then before you go into the spiritual man's um, um, consulting room, there's a calabash there with an egg in it, and you have to wash your hands in that calabash first. And then she washed her hands, and I washed my hands too. And then we went to the spiritual man's place, and then we explained what we needed from the spiritual man. We told him we want lucky, we want when we ask men for money and to do things for us, they should do it for us, because we were really struggling. And the spiritual man said we needed, I don't really remember what he said we needed, because this was like 2011 thereabout. But I can remember a little bit. He said we needed like lions or sibo, the thing around the lion's mouth or something. And he mentioned other weird things that we cannot get. And then we asked him if we can't get it, how. He was like, if you can't get it, bring me the money, and then we'll go and buy it for you. And he mentioned the amount, and my friend and I left. The taxi driver was waiting for us, and he took us back home. And then we thought about it. We were like, this one, dear, we don't think if we give him the money, he will be able to do what we want. So we shunned that one. And then I remember when I was growing up, I always heard the name Ningopo. So I told her that I think there's a place called Ningopo. I've never been, but if she wants, we can go. We can wake up early in the morning, take a taxi, and go. And then we took a taxi, and then early morning we went to Ningopo. But the day we got there at Ningopo was on a Tuesday, and luckily for us, they said Ningopo doesn't work on Tuesdays. And then she left, and then I was like, she left, and I didn't want to go, and I was like, why don't we stay in the Ningopo place, and then the next day, because it's the next day we will be working, so that we can do what we came here for. She was like, no, she can't wait. And then she left, and then I was like, she can leave, I'll stay. So there was a woman at the Ningopo junction. I think she heard what we were saying. So then she called me, and I went to her, and she was like, why we came to Ningopo or what? And I was like, yes. And she was like, there's a spiritual place around the corner, she can take me there too, and then I can go and speak to the gods and tell them what I want and all that. But when I was going to, I had three men in mind, that I was going to go and then use their name to request for what I wanted. So then, as we were walking to that place, she was like, it's a walking distance, so we should walk. So as we walking there, she told me one thing. She was like, she wants to advise me very well. This journey that I've started, anytime I go to a spiritual man's place and they say they want a dog, a cow, or an animal or anything like that, I shouldn't, if they ask me what am I going to use to come and say thank you, I should never say an animal. I should always say I'll use money to come and thank them. Because if I say money, if I say an animal, the animal is always a human being, but they will never tell you that it's a human being. And I was like, okay. So what she took me to, you have to buy snap, and then you have to take off your clothes, and then rent into a cloth, and then put it around you, and then walk barefoot to the shrine. So I walked barefoot to the shrine, and then I met with the shrine man. It was like I think it's like a family gods or something. They had the gods there, and they had another gods hidden inside, another smaller god hidden inside, like Bubu Bisa, what do you call, like a little shed that is locked. So I went there and then I explained everything to him, and then he was like, okay, um, I should write the names of the people and their telephone number, and then I should go in front of that shed and then um pour the libation down, and then put the paper down, and then bend their names. And as I'm bending their names, I should say what I want them to do for me, stuff like that. I went and I knelt. I knelt before, God forgive me. I knelt before that shed, and I did what he said, and I mentioned all three men's name, and I said what I want them to do for me and stuff like that. So then I left and I came back to Accra, and the three men, the first one, when I went to see him, he didn't give me money. What I asked him for, he didn't give it to me. The second one was annoyed with me. The third one, I traveled to go and see him, and it was a disaster. He ended up even sacking me from the hotel, and then I didn't have any place to stay because it wasn't in Ghana, and I had to beg a friend to go and patch there because I didn't even have my return ticket, because he always buys my one-way ticket, and when I go, he'll buy my return ticket too. We had a fight, a big fight, and I think the thing backfired on me, because I think maybe with my soul and the angels and the God I'm supposed to serve, like the Almighty God, doesn't like those things. So those things backfired, and I believe that there's some people that when they go to a drill, so it will not work, because that is not where they are supposed to get their help from. So it backfired, and it all went bad. And to these days, those people, I don't even talk to them because they got so angry with me, those three men. So fast forward, that parent of mine that always went to like malams and stuff like that, I explained to her that I think I was suffering and stuff like that. There was a time that her land case, that parent's land case, became a very, very big issue. And then she said she spoke to people, and then they've introduced her to a place in Togo. So she came to me and I lended her money, and then I decided to go with her because she was going to go to the journey alone, and I didn't want that parent to go alone. So I went with that parent, and then when we went to a spiritual man's place in Togo, oh my God, it was in the bush. We traveled and traveled. Oh my God, it was in the bush. You take a motor and ride through the wilderness at night because the journey was so long. And then we went to that spiritual man's place, and the spiritual man gave us some things to do, and then also said when she goes back home, she should do something for me, because he can see that there's a man coming into my life. That man will really help me, but the road has blocked, so she has to do something for me, and then the road will open. Mind you, too, before I did that journey with that parent, I had met a man, a very, very rich man. I didn't take his name anywhere or anything, and then I saw him only once, but he took a lot of interest in me, and he was willing to really help me. And I think that 3 days that I was away with my parents, he was calling me and calling me and calling me, trying to reach me, but he couldn't reach me. So then we got back to our car, and as soon as I turned on my phone, this rich man called me. He was like, "Where have I been?" He's been calling me and calling me. Where? And I was like, "I traveled with a parent." And he was like, "Really? He hope it's not bad girls things that I went to do." And I was like, "No." And then this man, I didn't take his name anywhere, but this man really helped me. He bought my first car for me until we broke up. And my mother always the parent of mine always like had malams that she went to, and she always advised me that if you go to malam, take yourself there, rather don't take someone's name there instead, because it can always backfire. So that parent always warned me that when we go to malams, we should always go rather to ask for lucky and things to better ourselves instead of taking someone's name. So every time she has a bad dream about me, that parent calls me, and then I'll run. It was like I was under a spell. I'll run to her, and then we'll go to the malam, and the malam will give us other tasks to do and stuff like that. And every time I have a bad dream too, I'll run to her, and she'll take me to the malam for the malam to give me sadakas to do. And then one time I was sitting there, and I said, I think I heard it in my spirit that, isn't it the same people that are causing extra troubles for me? So it might be them, the malams, that cause more troubles for my life, because it's like every time I go there and they said something is coming to happen, and I go and do what I have to do. Another time, another bigger trouble comes, and always bad dreams come. So one day that parent called me, and she mentioned a bad dream that has happened, and I told her on the phone that please, whenever she has a bad dream about me, she shouldn't tell me again. I am not interested in it. And then it ceased, and she never told me anytime she had a bad dream, because every time she had a bad dream and she told me, I always panicked, and it's like I ran to her, and then we'll go to the malam and we'll go and do what we have to do. And I wasn't interested in all those things again, because me now, it seems my heart is always towards the Lord, because I had an encounter with God like at a very young age, and I felt like I didn't have the right upbringing and the right people around me to really nurture me in the things of the Lord God Almighty. But like I found God on my own, and then I got to know him on my own. So I remember back in the days, I used to even tell my friends that I'm going to stop all the sins that I was sinning, and I would repent, and then later on, because I need money, I'll backslide again, and I'll repent and I'll backslide. And all my friends used to laugh at me that, hey, you that we are calling you, you come and tell us that me the massacre, and then we laugh about it. So fast forward to the man in Togo that my parents and I always went to. I realized that every time that we embarked on that journey, I would have a phone call, that the phone call is rather going to really benefit my life. But when I come back and I call that person back, it's like they will tell me that the opportunity had left since they couldn't reach me. So I analyzed my life, and I sat down and I was like, all these things is not going to help me, because the things that I'm even looking for, I haven't found it with going to these places. So I'll just stick to God, and then pray more to God, and then do the things of God. So I stopped consulting those lesser gods since 2016, and my life has never been the same again. My life has been good. The bad things that used to happen has ceased, and praying to God and fasting has really helped me. And if I have any problem, I go to God on my knees and I pray to him with my heart, and then he helps me, and I haven't looked back again. So now I repented from going to the malams and those spiritual people to seek help, and I looked up to God. And then my friend and I, that were always looking for a spiritual person to go to, something happened, and we fought. We fought in 2014. She owed me money. She didn't want to pay me, and it was a very nasty fight. And we went our separate ways. And in 2014, we went our separate ways. And so sometimes I see news about her on the online, and I read it and stuff like that. And in 2018, I slept, and I had a dream about her. I had a dream about her that I was sitting in a trotro, and I saw her outside, like the trotro was passing by, and I saw her and she had gone mad. She was wearing like some sort of like those dress that mothers wear, that loose dress that mothers wear, and she was mad. She was mad on the streets. And then I called her brother, and in the dream, I called her brother, and I was like, "Hey, come and see. Your sister. I've seen your sister. She's mad on the streets." When I woke up from that dream, I still knew where she stays physically. So when I woke up from the dream, I analyzed the dream, and I was like, nah, this one, I don't have her number, but then I will go back to her old house and look for her and tell her about the dream so she can do something about it. So then I went to her house, and then her brother and her friend were in the house, and I think I saw her car there, but her brother and her friend were came out, and then they were like, she's not around. And I was like, really? And they were like, she's not around. Yeah, and if she comes back, they'll tell her that I came around. And so I couldn't tell her about the dream. This was in 2018. And fast forward later, I think in 2020 or 2021, I woke up in the morning and a friend has sent me a link of that friend of mine's news has gone out that she was mad. And honestly, when I saw that, it reminded me of the dream I had about her. And when I saw it, I became very uneasy, and I felt really sick for 3 days, and it wasn't easy for me. And yeah, she went like mentally ill. And I think the kind of dress I saw her in the dream, that was kind of like the what she was wearing. Well, I'm not sure about the color, but the video that came out about her was like that. And I messaged friends on Instagram trying to get her number to talk to her and see how it went too. But I managed to get her number, and I spoke to her, and it's not easy. I don't know what really happened to her, but I just want to use this moment to advise people. Sometimes I watch your video on YouTube and I see that people are saying, "Oh, give me that person's number to go and take me to that spiritual person to help me." Do you know that that person can actually take you to the spiritual man and then use you rather for the juju, or take the little lucky that you have, or the juju man himself can take the lucky that you have and rather give it to their children or their family members, or people that they really, other clients that they really value more than you. Have you really thought about that? I just want to advise people that they should believe in God, because God can do all things. I read a comment that said that God's ways take long. The thing is, God's ways doesn't take long. It is His will for your life. If you pray anything you're looking for and it's in accordance to God's will for your life, it will come to pass. But if you pray and then seek in vain things that are not in God's will for your life, it will not come to pass, because maybe that vain thing that you are looking now, maybe that is not the season you are in now. Maybe that vain thing that you're looking now, looking for a giddy 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 giddy, maybe 2 3 years or 4 or 5 years later, that vain thing is in your destiny, and then it will come to pass. The riches and the glories you're looking for is in the future, and it might come to pass. But you looking for it right now, and then you don't want to go through the process to get there. God will not answer that prayer, because it's not in His will. So I urge everybody listening to really stick to God and seek the things of God, and pray to God for direction for their lives, and a repentant heart, and also Remember that there are times and seasons. Those malams and those jujus, the enemy, the enemy doesn't want your good. Or he came to steal, kill, and destroy. So you now, Krampo, what you have, no cry that is valuable. No, he, the enemy, is looking to steal that from. But who giveth things that are free, that doesn't have any consequences? It's the Lord God Almighty. So if you stick to God, you'd have a good life. You just have to let the greediness and all those life no. And here, me, I've really lived life in riches, in traveling, in buying designer goods and those things. Those things don't last. You buy a designer item, it's real. You went to the shop to buy it. 6 months or 1 year later, it is tearing. So all the hope now there are two those items that you are looking for giddy 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 giddiness of no value. It's of no value to sell your soul for those things. So looking up to God and praying to Him would really benefit your life.
You said when you were a kid, your parents used to give you something to drink or swallow for protection. Can you give us the names of some of the things they used to give you? And also, I mean, these days you hear a lot of big rich girls or rich big girls go to juju to change the minds of the men, the big men that have money, in order for them to buy cars, give them money to travel, houses, and enjoy some of the luxurious things in life. Based on your personal encounter, would you say this is something that a lot of the young girls are doing these days? And then the Nigopo you said, is it the Nogopo we know? The Nigopo you said you went to, that they said you don't work on Tuesdays. Is it a popular Nogopo we know in the Volta region? And why did your friend decided to leave after you got to the Nogopo and then they told you that they don't work on Tuesday? Why did she leave? And after that day, did she follow you to any other shrine or spiritualist for any other rituals again, or she did not follow you to any place again? You said also that a woman advised you that you should never opt for animal sacrifice anytime you visit a spiritualist and then they ask you, what are you bringing back for appreciation? Always opt for money because animals represent human beings. Is it that when you sacrifice animals, the animal that you're bringing spiritually, you are sacrificing a human being, or when you sacrifice, you begin with animals, eventually they are going to ask you to bring a human blood? Please, I mean, clarify that side too for us. You said the three men that you took to the spiritualist, after everything that you did, uh, even one of them got mad with you after you traveled to go and meet him. You had a huge fight. He sacked you and all that. But you met another man. For him, you didn't take him to any spiritualist. You didn't take him anywhere. But he was doing everything that you asked him to do for you. Would you say that some of the things that you did in the past, some of the rituals you did in the past, were the things that were affecting that man that you didn't take to the spiritualist? Or it was just, I mean, him being good to you, maybe God's favor found you, and then he was just being good to you?
When I was a kid, the things that my mother used to bring home from the malams for protection, for bathing and drinking, and for the bathing ones, it was some liquid stuff that's like I think mixed with like some wood, dried wood, and some other stuff. I don't even know what it was, but it was in a liquid form in a Baltic bottle. And then she would usually say, if you finish bathing, use this and then use it. She fetch some into a cup for us, and then she say use your hands and then wipe it from your head to like your entire body to your toes, and then when you're done, you just stand under the fan for the fan to dry you up, and then you go to sleep. I didn't really like it because some of them were really stinking and some of them had that lavender smell. It was just nasty. And the things to drink too, some of them too, I think she called them rubutu. I think they call that one rubutu also. It's also in a Baltic bowl and you drink it. I think it's made from some dried wood or something. And then there were other ones too that it comes in like a ball form, and then the she said the spiritual man told her we should cook it with I remember this very vividly because I was young. I was like I think about 7 or 8 years old. Um, it was, 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 it was in a ball form, and it was so bitter, but you have to cook it in a soup form. So you cook it with like fresh fish, because that was the advice the spiritual man gave, that we're supposed to cook it with fresh fish, and drink it at night. Sometimes we drink it for 3 days or 7 days, and the bathing ones we would drink it for 3 days or 7 days or whatever days. I don't remember the days, but that was what we're supposed to do for protection, because apparently people wanted to kill her children because of the land issue. So we always had to do that, and it was so bad because we had to do it every single time. Every month there's something different or a different concoction that would be given to her, and then we would have to drink that. And also the big girls that go for juju, I can say that with my chest that yes, most big girls, I won't say all because I don't know all, but I will say most of them go to juju pan, especially malams and juju and stuff for like for to capture men and for like favor that is not from God. There's even this my sister used to rent a house in Hacho. I don't even know why I say Hacho, but yeah, I'll say it's in Hacho. And that house that she was staying in, she rented like a chamber and hall there, and that house was owned by a Malam. So I remember when she even rented the house and she invited me there, I was like, hey, you, a Malam's house and you have come to rent it. Are you not even scared? And then she was like, yeah, she's not scared. She's just staying there for a while and she'll leave. One day I went to visit her, and then she told me that a beauty pageant winner has been coming to see the Malam every time. But every time she comes, she wears a big hat and tries to disguise herself. So one day I went to visit her, and then we were in a room, and then we were leaving, and then we saw the beauty pageant girl there, and I was like, wow, so it is true. So she always comes to visit that Malam all the time. I even still know that house my sister rented in Hachu. If you go and stand there, I'm sure you see that beauty pageant girl winner. I won't say the beauty pageant's name, but the a beauty pageant's winner. And then yeah, so people do things for spiritual gains and juju and all those things. um the Ningbopo too is the Ningbopo that everybody knows in the Volta region. It is that place, the famous Ningbopo. And my friend left because it was closed, and after she left we didn't go anywhere again, because me, I didn't know anywhere to go with her, and then she too, she didn't know, and she was still looking. So I remember one time she called me and she was like, let's go and visit an older woman, B, that is her friend. That older woman too knows it, and we knows places, so we can go and put it in front of her. So then we went to her, and then we went to discuss it with her, and she said she knows a place in Benin and she can take us there. And then we went to her house and ate and everything, and we left, and my friend called me and said we shouldn't go to Benin with that woman, because another the friend that introduced that woman to her said when that woman wants to take us anywhere, we shouldn't go, because the woman will go and exchange our glories for hers. Will take our glories from us and then use it for her own benefit. So then we didn't go with her. The woman I saw in front of Ningbopo said um, that whenever a spiritualist says to bring an animal, or what will you bring to say thanks, you shouldn't bring an animal, because indirectly the animal is not an animal. The animal that you say is like indirectly a human being, but don't say bring the human being to kill, but you'll be there, not you don't tell you'll be there, and your family members and loved ones will be dying. Yeah. And the man who helped me after I did all those things I did, I think he really helped me because the grace of God found me, and the mercy of God found me, and God answered my prayer. Because before I even met him, I was really suffering. I was going through a lot of promises and failing from other men. So if it was the things that I did that was helping, why did it help with? Why didn't it help with the other men, and then it helped with this man? So that man that really helped me, it was by the grace of God. So yeah. Um my advice for viewers is I'll say this in Chi. Oh, sumnyamia, sumniyin, sumniyin pa. Because after all these things that I did, I didn't gain anything from it, and I thank God that He delivered me from it. Because if I had still been in it, who knows where I'll be right now? I don't even. I'm not sure even I'll be alive right now, sitting here to tell you my story. Because if you are really this thing, Ankasa, is like a spirit. Once it comes to you and you think the only way to make it in life is by seeking help from smaller gods, it takes you like a force, and then you become greedy, and then you try and try every means that you can to manipulate other people to gain what you want. But those things will never last. It will never last, because it will take you, that spirit will grab you and take you inside. You go to bushes, and then one day you go and meet one malam or one juju man that will take your soul, because the devil doesn't give anything for free. They will take your soul, and then that's it. You'll be gone. So I just want to thank God that He's saved me from all this. And even after all this that was going on, a friend of mine's boyfriend, ex-boyfriend, gave his life to God, Christ. And then I think I remember I met him one time at the mall, and then everybody was saying he's repented. So I was very curious about his repentance, and I got closer to him. And every time I'll go and visit him in his house, and then I'll be asking him things about God and stuff like that. And then apparently he could see into the spiritual realm, and the things that he told me came to pass. And then he actually really opened my eyes to a lot of things. And also he advised me and then told me to pray and fast a lot. And since I started praying and fasting, my brothers and sisters, I will give one testimony. I remember one time I fasted and prayed for 21 days, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. And then I prayed, and I asked God to send a helper to locate me. Ah, this estate that I was living here in, I was there with my sister, and it was like it was a new year, January 3rd. And our windows was every time our windows is closed because we use AC. But that morning I decided to slide the windows open because I said I wanted fresh air to come for ventilation. So I was there, my sister was in the living room and I was in the bedroom, and I heard someone screaming, "Help, help, help. Anybody help. Anybody, somebody, anybody there help." My brothers and my sisters, that estate has security roaming around every time, and people roaming around. Nobody heard the cry of this man. No. I heard the cry of this. Even my sister was sitting in the living room, and I was like, "Did you hear that?" She was like, "Yeah, she can hear it, but she doesn't want to go outside." And I was like, "She should come and let's go outside. Because what if it's a taxi driver that maybe someone has hit, and us will be the idea bonitimana or collapse, and something, and something is happening to the person that needs emergency." So I called my sister, and then we opened side the gates, and then we went outside, and I could hear the voice still. And I was like, "Who is it? Who is it that is screaming, help, help?" And then he was like, "Help, help, help. I'm here. I'm here. Come and help me." And then I was like, "Which one?" He's like, "That the house on there, so so and so." And I followed the voice, and we went to their house. Hey God, what God cannot do cannot exist. It does not exist though. The person I saw in that house, even if that person here, I don't think anybody in Ghana can meet that person if they want to meet that person. That person is very influential in this country. I went and I met him. I believe God directed me there. I went and met him, and what is his problem? His security door to his bedroom has jammed, and he cannot open the door. That's why he's screaming, "Help, help!" And it's time for him to leave the apartment. I think it's one of his houses, and he came there, and then he was stuck in there. That's why he was screaming, "Help, help!" So then he gave me someone's number to go and look for that person for him. His driver, he's the one that has the key. He's gone. He will be coming here in 2 hours' time, and he can't stay there because he has a meeting. I took the number and I went to look for the person. And then they finally brought a carpenter and they came to break the door and they saved him up. And then he sent me a message saying, "Thank you for saving my life. I owe you my life. Whatever you need, let me know." I say this to the glory of God that as I sit here right now, she knew me here, my friend, or me say no. The monies that he's helped me with and everything that he's helped me with, I still sit today. If I have any emergency, when I call him, he would, if he's not there, he will send his driver to me, or I'll go and meet him, or meet his driver wherever he is, or he'll transfer the money to me. So I say this to say, this is a testimony I'm giving because he's the most high God. There's no power above him. Just pray to God with all your heart and all your mind. See that wherever the help is, God will push you there, will carry you up and take you there. Where the help is, where your helpers are, God will carry your two legs to take you to where your helpers are, or he will let you sit down and then he will bring your helpers to locate you. I have a lot of testimonies to give concerning these things, but with what God has done in my life. But I feel like this is one of it that I want to share, and at least someone out there who is planning to go to Juju Gidi 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 will reverse and go back and take your Bible and then read and also fast and pray, because the Lord of heaven and earth, the God who created heaven and earth, he answers prayers. He's still answering prayers. If you believe, it will happen. Okay.
To sum up everything she just said, she's basically trying to tell you that all that glitters is not good. Put your trust in God. Thank you very much for sharing your mysterious encounters. And like you said, we hope people watching can learn something from it. Please leave your comments in the comment section below. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, Ride and Chat. Share this video. Tell a friend to tell a friend to watch it so that we can all learn something from it. On Instagram, Ride and Chat World. You can DM me if you have a story or an encounter to share. On TikTok, Ride and Chat. On Twitter, Ride and Chat. Until we meet again, I hope you've learned something from what she has shared. God bless you.